Hey guys. Today I'm just gonna kind of like talk and just kind of like rant a little bit, I guess, and just make this video a little bit more organic and from the heart kind of thing. That's how I want this channel to be. Um, I was wanting to talk about how DMT is addictive or can be addictive, and how it was for me personally. I had already had an addictive personality. Um, I was addicted to tobacco and alcohol, and I really liked smoking weed. I would smoke a lot of weed, and you could almost even classify that as an addiction for me. Um, and I had already struggled quite a bit with addictions by that point. Um, the first time that I did DMT, I I feel like anybody's first time doing DMT, you kind of want to do it again immediately, and that feeling doesn't ever really go away if you ask me. Um, Especially if you already have an addictive personality. When you hit it, you go through your trip, especially if it's a good trip, directly afterwards. Usually the thought process was, excuse me, sorry. Um, Usually the thought process is that you just want to immediately go back into it. Um, you just you're like, oh wow, that was a great trip. That was awesome. Let's just do it again. It's got to be great again, right? And sometimes it is, and most of the time I say it would be, especially in the beginning. Um, but then it gets to the point that like if you kind of give into that and you do it often, or you try to justify it, like oh it's just like I'm just having little trips, or it's just DMT, it's just a psychedelic, it's not addictive or whatever. If you try to justify it like that, you can easily fall into the rabbit hole, and you'll discover things about DMT. Like one of the things that me and my roommate discovered, who also became addicted to it, is that when you do DMT and you have a good trip, or sometimes, like most time, even with a bad trip or just an uncomfortable trip, however you want to call it, um, you would usually sleep pretty good that night. Um, like almost no matter what, you would always sleep really well, or at least me and him would. And so your your next day at work or your next day in general would go by really fast. And so since we worked hard jobs, and so since do most of other Americans, when we would do it and we realized our next day would go by super fast, it was just like an incentive kind of to just do it every night that we worked, and let the days go by faster so we can just get through the week kind of thing. And then it got to the point that we would even do it on our breaks because they would make the next 3 hours go by faster. And so we would do it on our first break. The next 3 hours would fly by. We would do it on our lunch. The next 3 hours would fly by. Do it on our last break. The next 3 hours would fly by. And then all of a sudden we're home. And so it got to the point that we were doing it every day like that for a couple months. Um, and it just got out of hand, to be honest. It got to the point that like even when you had an uncomfortable trip, me personally, or even my roommate, when you had an uncomfortable trip or a challenging trip or a bad trip, however you want to word it, you would still immediately want to go right back into it. um, you would hit it, go through your trip, you're like, oh my god, that was terrible, oh that was the worst thing ever, and then you would come out of it fully, be like, well, something had to just influence that. That had to just like something just had to have been wrong with that trip. Let's try it again. Let's see if it's better this time. And it's just an addictive mindset. And I don't know. I can't describe it to you. I can't tell you why that happens. But I feel like that'll happen for most people, especially if they've already had previous addictions or if they had a good time with it. I think a lot of that with DMT and why we became addicted to it is because when we first started doing it, we weren't like breaking through or anything like that. We were never doing big enough doses to break through. And so there was just so much more room for exploration and all that other, psychedelic jazz. Um, and it kind of just it just led to a rabbit hole. I feel like if you would do bigger doses, or like you don't even necessarily have to break through your first time or anything like that, but I feel like if you get into a far space with it, the next time that you do it, you're more likely to break through. When you break through, it makes you want to do it less. When you break through, all of a sudden you're just like, okay, well, I found what I needed, and I don't really have the desire to go through it again. And sometimes you do, but it's just not quite as heavy as doing it with the smaller trips, or just doing it casually and not expecting a breakthrough, or not necessarily going for a breakthrough, or you know, whatever the case may be. Um, but that's kind of my part on it. Like I said, um, this is my individual story. This is just an like from the heart kind of thing. I don't know how much scientific ground or significance this has. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not like a scientist or somebody that specializes in people being having addictions or anything like that. But I did kind of want to share my story a little bit on the fact that it, for me personally, was kind of addictive. So I would just kind of consider that if you have an addictive personality, or if you consider doing DMT in general, just kind of be aware of that mindset of like when you want to do it again immediately, maybe you should hold off on it. You know what I mean? I don't want to tell anybody how to do their experiences or how to go on their journeys, but I would just be aware of how that mindset can lead you down a hole that you don't necessarily want to go down. Um, or you're just not prepared to go down, even if you think you are ready to go down it. You know what I mean? It's intense. So if you guys agree a little bit with what I'm saying, I'd love to hear it. If you guys think I'm stupid, please tell me. Um, I want to make more videos on this channel talking about my experiences with psychedelics, and I would love to hear in general what you guys think, and see if you guys think I should keep making videos and all that other stuff. So let me know. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.